Hey YouTube, it is season turnover today, so new season starts this week. There are two cups, Open Great League and a Limited Great League Cup. The Limited Great League Cup, I will do teams this afternoon, but is also on next week. So we're going to focus 100% on the Open Great League, and because there are a bunch of new, not a bunch of new Pokemon. There's some new Pokemon, some Pokemon with buff moves. No Nurse because they changed that back. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go over the top 30 rankings here because PV Poke's going to update it today during the season turnover, but Dracoviz has updated it with their own sort of coding of it. So we're going to quickly go over the rankings. We're going to go over 6 teams only featuring buffed Pokemon or Pokemon with new moves. And just an FYI, when you're going to see the Sims are still done with last season's stats. So like I put in Arctibax with Ice Fang. I put in Steelix with Thunder Fang, and those stat products have not been updated yet. So the matchups are gonna look worse than they are. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the analysis that I'm gonna put forward here. Okay, so what's changed? Not a lot, right? We have, if you watch my, I put out a couple videos on this already, and I even before these rankings came out, I kind of predicted this perfectly because there's not much change. There is slight changes, slight buffs, which are going to make Pokemon go up a couple of rankings. And then because of those Pokemon going up a couple of rankings, the other Pokemon are just going to go down 1 or 2. And that's basically what we saw. So Clodsire, what hasn't changed? Clodsire number 1, Mandibuzz pretty high at number 4. Diggersby, Gastrodon, Feraligatr, Azumarill, all in the top. Primeape in the top 10. Primeape has jumped up quite a bit. So what has changed? 2 things here. Diggersby up to number 5 because Fire Punch is buffed. Fire Punch was already a move that you were using on it, so just getting that buff just makes that Pokemon better. So it's a slight rise. Primeape has jumped up as well because with more Diggersby, you're likely to see more fighters. So Primeape has the better chance of dealing with those. Plus Corsola, I didn't even kind of go over that. You can look at my video about how I hate egg locked events, and it's one thing if you're going to do an egg lock event where people are just hunting shinies and stuff, but now it's an egg lock event that it immensely affects the Great League because this is now the number 2 Pokemon, and people may be wondering, like, just use the ones that you hatch. I did the summary. The difference between a 10 15 15, which is one of the best you can hatch in an egg, versus like the rank 1 is 6 wins, and those 6 wins are like all like meta. It's like Azumarill, Feraligatr, Primeape. Like, it was just like straight meta Pokemon. So unfortunately, you do kind of need the higher ranked IVs, and you need a ton of XL. So it's going to be tough to see how many people have it, but that is why it's up so high. And then you can see some waters down a bit, Feraligatr down a bit, Azumarill down a bit. And that is because Electric, as we're going to see, maybe on the next page, maybe not on the next page, Electric got buffed across the board. So with Electric buff, maybe a couple spots down for the water. Carbink, Pingoro, Jumpluff, Marowak, Dunsparce, those are not new ranked Pokemon. They were always... Carbink, I think, is like one of those that sims better than plays. I don't think you're going to see much Carbink. Clodsire already kind of make Carbink irrelevant, and now you got Diggersby that's going to be used more. I really don't see Carbink being used. And then you got Marowak there. Like, too many things, too many ground in this meta for Carbink to be relevant, in my opinion. Let's go to the second half of the page. Again, a lot of Pokemon that we've seen before: Clefable, Malamar, Toxapex. A Sandslash is one that has kind of risen up the rankings, and is for the same reason that I mentioned with Diggersby. It has Ice Punch. Ice Punch got buffed, and it was always the move that you use. So it was always a strong Pokemon, especially with all the ground, and now you got a buff move. So that is why it's kind of gone up the rankings. Brand new on this list, on the top 30, 2 Electric. Stunfisk at 22 and Togedemaru at 29. Stunfisk is ranked higher because it has a really nice electric ground duo typing there. So, your electric will deal with your waters that I mentioned, Feraligatr, Azumarill, and your flyers and Mandibuzz, while your ground can deal with the poisons like Clodsire. So it's a really nice kind of core breaker. I expect to see a healthy dose of that. For those of you who have not used it, it's very, very spammy with Thundershock already, with Mud Bomb Discharge, but Mud Bomb Discharge don't hit super hard, so you're going to need to spam a lot, which luckily you can do with this Pokemon. And one of my favorite Togedemaru's, again, Thundershock. That is why Stunfisk is at 22 and Togedemaru is at 29. Thundershock is buffed. I'm worried about Togedemaru in practice. I think there's still too many ground type Pokemon, right? on this page, we have Quagsire. That's a ground. Guzzlord is a dragon, which also resists. Steelix is a ground. Stunfisk is a ground. And then we go back to page 1 here. Clodsire is a ground. Diggersby is a ground. Gastrodon's a ground. Marowak's a ground. So there's so many grounds in the top 30. I think that electric is probably going to be a little overranked in my opinion. But we'll see. Steelix with Thunderfang up to 24. I've got Steelix with Thunderfang on a team, but again, it doesn't sim correctly right now because the Thunderfang has not been updated behind the scenes on PvPoke yet. And yada yada yada, same old. Okay, team number 1. So started with 2 direct buff Pokemon in like an ABB style team to a certain extent. Diggersby, a Sandslash, and then I put Mandibuzz on the front. Your backline is double weak to... So, I was just thinking, I knew the backline was double weak to fighting, and now I'm just seeing it's double weak to iceness in Mandibuzz, and Diggersby double weak to ice as well. So the thought process was come out. I mean, you can handle this by just going Talonflame. That makes you double weak to water. You know, so pick your poison. You can also just not do Sandslash, but or don't. Primeape was another option. I'll talk about Primeape. Let me just go over this team, and then I'll go over how you can sub Primeape in for Mandibuzz and why it would still work. Or Annihilate actually would maybe even be better. So Diggersby, the plan is Diggersby is a great safe swap now. It's got buffed with a Fire Punch. It's super bulky. It's going to be a great answer for a lot of your poisons and stuff like that, and just hits super hard overall. Weak to fighting, weak to water. So try and draw out a fighter like Primeape, and then deal with it with a flying type, and then your Sandslash, which is double weak to fighting, roams free, right? So you're really trying to draw out the fighter with Diggersby. Now, I think one of the other options was recommended like Primeape or Annihilate. And why Primeape and Annihilate would work is because in general, fighters against fighters is fine. And the other sort of weakness is ground in the back to Sandslash, and a fighter can kind of deal with ground as well for the most part, except for Clodsire. But Annihilate or Primeape with Rage Fist can just spam enough. That's what makes these Pokemon very, very strong, is that they're just so spammy. And as you can see here, like the core breaker on this team is Primeape. That is bait dependent on the Mandibuzz though, so I'm not gonna kind of overlook that a little bit. But yeah, so you can put in a fighter in the lead there. But Diggersby, I would expect to see a very healthy dose of Diggersby and a Sandslash. One Diggersby I kind of went over. It was already good because it was very bulky. And now you got a buffed Fire Punch. And same thing with Sandslash. Less bulky, but the meta was really good for Sandslash even last season because there was a lot of ground, which you are weak to ground, but you hit super effective with ice on ground. And there was a lot of flyers to kind of deal with the ground. So Mandibuzz, Drifblim, Galarian Moltres, there was a lot of those. So having an ice Pokemon really worked well in the last season of GBL. Arctibax, again, you're looking at the rankings of Arctibax, you're like, why is this bad? So I put in Ice Fang, which right now has not been buffed in the rankings. So you're going to get probably more X's there. And the reason I put in Ice Fang, even though Dragon Breath is still... So Dragon Breath is the Sims recommended move. And because Dragon Breath is a one-turn move, you really get advantages with one-turn moves. Ice Fang is buffed and it's a two-turn move. Now, if you look at the first... 3 out of the first 6 Pokemon, Mandibuzz, Clodsire, and Diggersby, all weak to ice. So having an Ice Fang move, I think it's going to have a lot of play. And then you still have like Jumpluff double weak there, Guzzlord as a dragon double weak there, Marowak as a ground weak there, Superiors of Grass weak there. So I think that Ice Fang is going to have a lot of play, which is why it's in there. So you are weak to fighting, Clodsire, answer. You're weak to Fairy, Clodsire answer. And I put in Superior and Clodsire as like a sort of answer where you're like double shielding the lead if you can and just trying to overpower with Arctibax and then taking Switch. And then if you see like a ground in the back, which Clodsire would have problems with, you have the Superior that can deal with the ground Pokemon. And if you see a fire Pokemon, or a poison Pokemon, then you go Clodsire that can deal with that. So it's basically with this lead Arctibax, got some good matchups against the meta, try to double shield and then align in the back with bulkier Pokemon who kind of cover each other's weaknesses. So this is where I put in, no, this is where Electivire. So I put in Electivire, Gastrodon, Moltres. So basically, Electivire got buffed, and got buffed twice, because the Thunder Shock got buffed, and so did the Ice Punch. So obviously, against water Pokemon, you can just see it's absolutely dominating, and then against a lot of other stuff, it is not. Again, it should pick up maybe a few more wins with the Ice Punch buff. This thing is so glassy, but you will likely grab shields. So you can build one of two ways. I kind of built an in-between one. With a super glassy Pokemon like this, you can go just 2 bulky Pokemon and just go double shield this thing in general. So Electivire, double shield, have it on the lead, go Wild Charge, boom, like back to back, and then go into 2 bulk Pokemon in the back. Think your bulkiest safe swaps, think Clodsire, think, trying to think of whatever, like other bulky safe swaps are there. Diggersby, Dunsparce, right? So Wild Charge, Nuka on the front, shields, go into the back Pokemon, absorb damage with those back Pokemon. The second is kind of a middle ground team. So Moltres and Gastrodon are not bulky, but they're not glassy. But what you could do with this team is you can like grab shields with Electivire on the lead and just kind of grab shield advantage, and then have another Pokemon like Galarian Moltres that can Brave Bird and win in the back with shields down. So that's how I kind of built this team. And then you need some like ground, would be something like Clodsire, and something that would be really, really tough for the Electivire. So that is where the Gastrodon comes in as a somewhat bulk Pokemon that can deal with those. Annihilate, Toxapex, Steelix. Again, Steelix has Thunderfang here, which it's not simming well because that has not been updated yet. So I put it in as like a ABB style team to try and draw out a ground. But now I'm starting to think that you either have to run Toxapex as the safe swap, or this team may need to change a bit. And the reason I say that is because if you're running Thunderfang, Thunder is double resisted by ground. So you can't really safe swap Steelix with a Thunderfang and then just get walled by a ground. At least with Toxapex, you have the water aspect to it. So you can like safe swap Toxapex, but you're still getting killed, as you can see there, by the ground Pokemon. So the more I think about this team, like I put it there, and even when I was updating, I was just like, I don't think this will maybe work as well in practice. So what you could do is you can see that Steelix and Annihilate do cover each other's weaknesses pretty well, right? Steelix can have a problem with the ground, and Annihilate for the most part can deal with the grounds. So basically you could just use those two as a core and then choose like a safe swap third. Perhaps you want to use like a Feraligatr safe swap as a third, as opposed to the Toxapex and trying to run like an ABB style team. Okay, 2 new Pokemon coming up here. Bibarel and I know Crisola's on this team, but Starmie's on the next team. So basically, new Pokemon has 2, what's the updated moves here? Rollout. It is getting Rollout, and I think that it can now play, I was going to say decent safe swap. I think it's probably still more like the 10th to 15th safe swap. I think there's just still other better safe swaps. I personally think it's going to play like a worse Diggersby is how I'm going to play, or like a somewhat worse Dunsparce. So you have this Pokemon that has its fighting and water. So sorry, normal. I was say fighting because you're weak to fighting. You're normal in water. So you have a few weaknesses more than you would get on something like Dunsparce, which is a go-to safe swap, because you still have that fighting weakness, but now you pick up a grass weakness, you pick up an electric weakness, and there's more electric now. So I just think it's like a worse version of Diggersby, and it has the rollout. It does have like stab, same type attack bonus, surf, and then it has like a neutral. You can use like you can purify it and use return. I think there's like a hyper fang or something like that as a normal type move that you can use. So trying to cover all those weaknesses, I think I covered the grass weakness and the fighting weakness with Jumpluff. And then Corsola is a nice just like safe swap, just given its bulk and its coverage move. And if they don't have a dark, you got, or normal typing, you got Ghost, which does pretty well against a lot of stuff. So I think something like this could work. And you got 2 bulky Pokemon in the back for, I don't even know if that Pokemon's that glassy. I think it's like a kind of the mid-range Pokemon. Lastly, Starmie, Dunsparce, and Togetic, and this is basically a cover each other's weakness to a certain extent and a safe swap. So Starmie is a Psychic Water, I believe. Let me just confirm that. I'm pretty sure it is a Psychic Water, but I don't want to give you false information. Psychic Water. So it has 5 weaknesses: Bug, Dark, Electric, Ghost, and Grass. So lots of good. It's getting Psywave. It's getting Psywave and Surf. So one of the best fast moves in the game. Decent charge move, and then like you have a coverage third move. But you are Psychic, so you're weak to Dark. You are Water, so you're weak to Grass. And again, Psychic. You can see here, Licky, because it has like a Shadow Ball, so Ghost will cause you a bit of problems. So try to cover all that. So covering the Grass and covering covering the Grass and covering the Dark with Togetic, covering the Ghost with Dunsparce. This team does make you double weak to Electric. Again, I think Electric's gonna be a little overranked here. But if you're seeing problems with that, maybe you want to get something else besides Togetic that can deal with the Grass as well. Maybe like a Poison or something, Poison Ground. So those are team ideas for all the new buff Pokemon. I will probably I'll do Beyond the Hype right away of Starmie and Bibarel, because those are the 2 that are Bibarel, however you pronounce it. Because those are 2 that actually get new moves. Gliscor, there's other Pokemon get new moves, only 2. Dragalge with Focus Blast is a worse move. Gliscor with Sand Attack probably plays better in the Ultra League. So we'll do Starmie, we'll do Bibarel as the Beyond the Hype of like, here are Pokemon with new moves. How significantly better are they? And then we will do all the buff Pokemon, the Ice Punch users, the Fire Punch users, the Fang users, the Thundershock users. So we'll test all these Pokemon this week, and we'll give you we'll do basically Beyond the Hype view of all these. And so for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, Beyond the Hype is a series I created because I've got a 9-to-5 job and 2 young kids. So I shoot my videos at 10 o'clock at night. I shoot 2 videos at 10 o'clock at night to go up the next day. Some content creators, this is their full-time job. So they pump out like 4, especially during season tournament, they pump out 4 videos in like 8 hours because people are really looking to figure out these new Pokemon, whether they're good or not. So with it, you get a lot of like hype, fake hype, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of like, oh, look, this new Pokemon is so strong, I must use now. Come everyone, come on all and watch this in action. Whereas I'm just like, I can't get it out that fast, but also I don't think that every new Pokemon that has a move is good. Every Pokemon that gets buffed doesn't need to be good. So I just created Beyond the Hype of like, let's cut through all that stuff and give you the real look of the strengths and weaknesses of the Pokemon. So all this week we'll get the buff Pokemon. I'll do a really good look and see their strengths and weaknesses and everything there. So stay tuned for that. We may be at 25,000 by the time this goes. I am filming this and we are a 25,000. Yay, 25,000. So thanks for subscribing, everyone who is around. We'll maybe have to do I was gonna say 25,000 stream, but by the time I do my next stream, it's maybe gonna be closer to like 26, 27,000. Anyways, that is it. Thank you for the support. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next one.